Our first round of E1 has been a cracker. Our winners in front of the boss, from the decks to the docks, Steve Aoki's team has done it. Hello and welcome to the UAM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. We are ready to go with round 2 of the all-electric powerboat series. This weekend brings us to the Visit Qatar E1 Doha GP, where 9 teams are ready to battle on the turquoise waters of the Pearl Island. Such a beautiful backdrop, and Alex Aljo is down there for us.
Yeah, I certainly am. What a setting it is here as well. 26 degrees and sunny here in beautiful Qatar. All has gone well so far for most of the boats this morning. Just one small issue which I can tell you about for Team Drogba. Now, they had their rear foil replaced this morning because it broke off. Needed to be replaced, has been checked, all is okay, and they are able to race today. And I can tell you why. Sam Coleman from Team Brady has just told me that there are 2 corners that are tighter than 90 degrees at opposite ends of the course, which is such an aggressive turn, puts additional stresses through the rear foil, which is why Team Drogba's broke off earlier on. So it's definitely something we're going to need to be watching out for, those 2 tight corners, which I'm sure we'll see later.
Thanks very much for that, Alex. Yeah, we've got the latest on what we're going to see here today. The Team Drogba boat, I'm pleased to say, is going to be out there. We are just heading out to the milling zone. This is the qualifying time trials. Just a little bit of information about what's going to happen. We have got 5 boats on the water, 5 of those beautiful race birds ready to go, and they're going to go one by one, almost Super Pole style. To do their qualifying time trial laps. They will get 2 goes at it. We'll effectively see 4 sessions coming up here now. These are the 5 boats that are out there in Group 1A, and we've got our pilots as well on the water for that. So we can see the championship leaders, Aoki Racing, with Danny Kloss in the Racebird. He will be heading out in this session alongside John Peters from Team Blue Rising. You see on the left of your screen, Emma Kibilainen's in Team Brady boat, the reigning world champions, of course. Rusty Wyatt, the Canadian-American, is there in the Team Alula by LeBron James boat. And Oban Duncan, well, it sounds like Shelley Jory-Lee, British powerboat champion, world record holder, who's alongside me in the commentary booth for this one. It sounds like it's been a busy morning for Team Drogba. Rear foil going, but it just shows the stresses that these race birds are going to be under.
Stress, Gavin. Today they're under even more stress because we are going anti-clockwise. We run standard rotation props. They prefer right-handers as opposed to left-hand turns, and today there's an awful lot of left-hand turns.
So they were dropping her into the water. I just wonder if there's another problem. We can just see from our shots out here, they have got the canopy open on the Team Drogba boat. Not how you want to start the weekend. There were a couple of glitches, weren't they, in the opening round of the championship for Team Drogba. And similarly, again this weekend, there has been a switch in terms of the pilot inside that boat. Micah Wilkinson, the Olympic bronze medalist, who's stepping in alongside Oban Duncan this weekend. So great to have another new pilot.
And from the sailing world, absolutely fantastic. It's going to be an interesting one for sure, but never good to be a little unsettled before the start.
Yeah, had a couple of glitches. So unfortunate for them with that rear foil issue, as Alex was telling us about. So it looks like we're about to get going. They're all heading out now towards that milling area. You can see 3 boats there. I think another one just hidden by that dhow there is a boat. There we are, on board with John Peters inside Team Blue Rising's boat. What a fantastic start to their championship. Like Team Aoki, had never registered a podium, and then they both got on the podium. Sarah Mizier put on a superb performance back in Jeddah to complete the box there. But John Peters, I have to say, feels very instrumental, Shelley, with how the team have performed, having switched from his spotter role to actually racing this year.
Yes, and he is the only team member that's actually come over from last year, so I think he's pretty much in control down there.
Virat Kohli, who is currently performing for India in the Champions Trophy out in the Middle East, and performing well, of course, for India in their cricket campaign out there. So he's not here this weekend, of course, because he's too busy with that at the moment, but he can be so proud of what the team did back in Saudi Arabia in that opening round back in January. As John Peters and Sarah Mizier, I have to say, for a rookie performance from the Jamaican, that was a standout weekend, wasn't it? Having fought them all off in the race to take the bronze medal.
And to get on the podium.
Yeah.
I mean, what more do you want at the start of your E1 Racebird career?
We've got to say, Danny Kloss, Aoki Racing, his teammate Michelle Alobaidan. Remember, one male, one female pilot in the boats. They will both get a go in these time trials. They will all be important throughout the weekend. Everyone counts, every performance out on the water counts. But Danny Kloss was superb, I have to say, wasn't he, last time out, taking that win for the first time for Aoki Racing.
And also pilot of the weekend.
So we are just waiting to get going with Steve Aoki and Danny Kloss. But let's hear from Chris Lazaraga, who's down there with Alex on the water side.
Chris, thank you so much for speaking to us. We're here at the iconic Pearl Islands. So excited.
I think we might have a little bit of an issue with the mic down there. We'll get that sorted in a moment. But Chris Lazaraga of Team Rafa was just obviously watching on. This is the course that they're going to have to take on. The green line, top left of your screens, is where they will start from. So the qualifying time trial will take place around there. And this is the course. How do you read the course this weekend, Shelley?
I think it's amazing. I mean, they're actually going to be going full chat, full speed right from the start line. So they're actually full speed through the marina, which is usually unheard of. So thank you, Doha, for letting us do that. And then onto the standard lap. But what a great course. I mean, the location and the logistics of it, just superb. Looking quite flat out there at the moment, even though on our screen here we have some little white tops on the graphics. It's actually much calmer than that.
Yeah, I have to say, I've been to Doha. I've been going there for 20 years. I mean, Doha plays host to the World Cup final recently, plays host to Formula One and MotoGP, which I'm involved with every single year. I know that the Qatar Open in tennis is there this weekend. It's a real sporting hub, but this Pearl Island did not exist when I first went there 20 odd years ago. I make myself sound old with that one, I know, but it's a man-made island. But if you can see the hotels, the leisure, there's a lot of apartment complexes around, and that was my interesting thought on it, of how flat it must be compared to some of the more open water venues that we've been to. How will that change your approach for the weekend, do you think, Shelley?
Prop choice.
Right.
I'm hoping that the buildings are protecting the course a little bit. So even when the wind picks up this afternoon, it's still not going to make that much difference. So they've got 4 choices this weekend on the props. So I would say they're probably going to go for the fast and flat one. One point we must make, Gavin, is that we are going anti-clockwise today. And so we've got only 2 right-hander smart marks. Everything else is a left-hand turn. And that is, as we've heard from Oban, Duncan and Team Drogba already, that is making a little bit of a difference on how the boat handles that left-hand turn.
Yeah, and similarly, that putting the stresses on the rear race foil. So what we'll see is the boats, the Racebirds, will lift up onto their foils. And you can see those wings almost out the side. It looks like they're flying, but crucially, where the propeller is in the water at the back, there's another rear foil, and that sounds like it's undergoing a lot of stresses out on the water with those tighter turns.
Yes, because the prop rotates to the right and we're trying to turn to the left. I don't know if that was a problem with the rear foil, but we might be able to learn about that a bit later.
It looks like we've got everyone in the milling zone now. What beautiful scenes though, overlooking the Pearl Island. Turquoise waters, dazzling backdrop, isn't it, for the E1 World Championship presented by PIF. It is stunning. I have to say, Doha has transformed itself over recent years, and it is just a luxury paradise out there where the boats are milling. You can see perhaps some of the UIM stewards perhaps out there on the wave runners just having a look at the boats, maybe just trying to check everyone is okay, but it looks like they're milling okay at the moment, and Team Drogba's boat is in the water,
which is always good news. And I don't know of another race anywhere in the world where we actually go under a bridge.
Yeah, so that's when they head the way back to the launch zone. That's how they come back through, isn't it? Slightly different course that we've got here when we are heading out in the time trials. They have a time trial finish line that you will see, which will be different to the finish line tomorrow, but we'll focus just on the qualifying time trial lap that they'll be heading out. Each pilot will get 2 laps of the course when we finally get the race birds up on their foils and flying. So we'll see the A pilots, and then we'll see Group 2 first of all, and they're A pilots. There'll be 4 in that group, 9 boats in total, and then we'll see the B pilots have a go later on this morning. But a beautiful day here, I have to say, and you did mention the wind. Often here in Qatar, often in the Gulf, we see the wind pick up as the day goes on, but hopefully the protection of all these buildings will keep our course nice and flat. That's what the hope is.
We haven't even got a ripple out there at the moment, Gavin. The only white water we're seeing is behind the propulsion of the jet bikes there, who are the safety team, the E1 safety team.
I have to say, as a power boater yourself, this must feel like a millionaire's playground in terms of if I can race on water like this, that must be just dream, the sort of thing you can only dream about, Shelley.
Well, I'm actually looking at it very jealous at the moment. I wish somebody would let me drive my E1 race bird at top speed through the harbour. Usually I get arrested for that.
Well, let's hope nobody does befall that fate at the moment. So just having a little mill about, aren't they, in there, just preserving as much battery power. A reminder, they are all electric boats that they have on the race bird. We're just waiting to see what might happen here. The schedule has just been knocked back. We're expecting them to go a few moments ago. So while they're sat there in the milling area, just keep an eye on them. All 5 race birds are in the water. It's just a little bit of tension for the pilots. Another thing we saw when we were in Jeddah is how hot it is inside the cockpit.
Well, we know how hot it is out in the cool air there and the breeze. That Alex said to us that it's very warm. If you imagine you're then sat in a fairly small cockpit in full fireproof overalls with a full life vest on, it's a lot going on. Oh, and add your crash helmet on top of that.
Absolutely, yeah, steamy down inside that E1 race bird. These qualifying time trials, what will they do? Well, they will decide the positions that the boats will, groups that the teams will join for the qualifying races, which are coming up later today. We have a couple of qualifying races for you, and they are elimination races as well, so that's always quite exciting to see the boats peel off, and then we'll have a 2-boat run for the finale. So that's to come up later, but these are the time trials first of all, so they will go one by one to try and set the fastest lap around inside the Pearl Marina here.
So there we have our Bergamo Scuba Angels. The Bergamo Angels, an amazing safety team that go throughout the world, helping all the powerboat racing around the world. They're an amazing group of doctors and paramedics. Which I have used a couple of times, I'm afraid to say.
Right, looks like our clock is finally ticking. Let's hope no one has to trouble them at any point throughout the weekend. We have seen boats taking off, we've seen collisions, we've seen wing-to-wing action and crashes. I mean, we do love that action, but we just want our pilots to all come home safe and sound. So the clock is ticking away on our 20 minutes. The green flag is being waved, and so we're just waiting to see which of our boats will go first of all to do their qualifying time trial lap. When they do their one lap, they will then come back through to the milling area and then get ready to go again. According to my sheet, it should be Team Aoki, should be Danny Kloss who goes first of all. There you can see the boat, that beautiful pink and blue boat which was so successful in Jeddah. And I have to say, we've got this, I don't know how it works, but when the team owners have been turning up, the teams are performing, and the rumour is that Will Smith might be in the house this weekend in the Ocean Club hanging out, so there'll be a bit of pressure on Westbrook Racing this weekend. He's very, very involved in the running of that team. They're amazing on social media, some of the stuff they do. So Sarah Price and Lucas Ordonez, they have their work cut out this weekend, Shelley, to perform in front of the boss.
I know, it looks like we actually fix it, but it isn't that, honestly. They really raced hard in the last race, and here they go.
Right, so this is Team Aoki Racing with Danny Kloss, the winners, the championship leaders in the early stage of the championship this year, who are setting off, and through the first time smart mark he goes, and you can just see he's right high up on the foils already. Full chat around the marina. Beautiful, beautiful conditions for Danny Kloss, and former Formula One test driver, of course. And he's got this going away well. You can just about see the prop in the back of the water. Underneath there is another rear fall, and that's the one that we've said has been going a lot of stress this weekend. Now we're into the course proper. Those white boys will come significant later on in the weekend. They are the short lap, but we'll ignore them for now because we're just going on the full racing course here now, Shelley, heading out to the entrance to the marina itself.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying that beautifully. None of the hull is touching the water. That's what we want to see.
He will drop the left wing down in the water to get himself turned here. We're at the far part of the course now, around the furthest buoy here, and then coming back into the marina for Danny Kloss, the Spanish pilot. Look at that, that looks stunning, how it's flying on top of the water there. A little bit of a launch off the water, just came off it slightly.
You spoke too soon then. If we can see daylight, we are flying, and that's exactly what we want to see. But he seemed higher than normal.
And he's working on the trim, isn't he, while he's out there. Shelley, we talk about it being a bit converse to what you might normally expect in powerboat racing.
Yes, I think actually what happened there, he was so high, he was probably a little bit too much trimmed out, and that's what made him drop and land heavily into the water.
So he comes across the line and sets our first benchmark. I'll bring you that time as soon as it comes up on our timing screen. I wonder if he'll be happy with that. I think we just heard from him. Yeah, he's speaking to his team up in Mission Control, Shelley.
Yeah, I think he was actually explaining there possibly exactly what we just said. I was trimmed out too high, I then landed a bit heavy and came down. That would have lost him quite a lot of time, to be honest.
What the pilots say, Shelley, is once you're up on the foils, that's great, but as you pick up speed, that's when the race bird becomes more and more unstable, and that is the key, isn't it? It's finding that sweet spot.
Oh, that is the art, Gavin, to get it up onto the foils, keep it out of the water, but not too high, because it all goes unstable if you go too high. Very, very important to stay on the sweet spot.
Time for the mustachioed maestro that is John Peters inside the Team Blue Rising race bird, and away he goes, John Peters, heading out through the marina, just bouncing his way through.
He doesn't seem to be in control of that just there. He seems to be a little unsteady, but he's got it now. Yeah, he's got the height and cruising beautifully with the daylight underneath. Of course, they've got no dirty water in this. It's all a single lap on your own. Absolutely
perfect, isn't it? Yeah, slightly different format that we saw when we had the time trials back in Jeddah. they were battling. We saw a few people trying to steal the clean water off others, and that led to a little bit of tension, I have to say, out in the launch zone between a few of the pilots. That looked great from John Peters through there, I have to say. We look at all the data that's coming back, how he was on the boost there, variable boost this year if you weren't with us for the opening round, so they can use that boost in short bursts. They can use it all at once if they want. Ultimately, they have 20 seconds of boost, which will give them extra 50% of power output from that electric motor, but it takes 40 seconds to recharge. They can dose it out if they want. They can do what they like in terms of the boost. John Peters looked really, I have to say, really smooth through that sector.
Oh, dropped a little bit too much there into the corner. Took a little bit of speed off with the wing.
Picked up beautifully though, didn't he, out of the left-hander. This will bring him back to the qualifying time trial finish line. He just got across the water before dropping the hull into it. And so across the line there, we've clocked a 1:46.2. The time we had for Danny Kloss was a 1:18.1. So I'm just wondering if the timing has caught up with those. We'll get across that as soon as we can. But we are ready to go now with Team Brady, of course, the reigning world champions. And it is the Finn, Emma Kymäläinen, who's heading out there. 35 years old. She is a powerhouse of motorsport. Had a success in the W Series, lots of podiums there. Won, of course, back at Assen in that. Whoa, I'm so out of shape. She has taken off there, and that is not what you want. You want to get up on the foils, but she was airborne there, Shelley.
And look how calm she looks.
Amazing.
Well done, Emma. That would have been a moment.
Yeah, however calm she looks, that will have been a little bit scary for Emma, just coming around the marina now and onto the course proper.
I think maybe she was a little bit too trimmed out. She was probably on the boost and it just all got out of hand for her.
Yeah, they've had free practice earlier today. She drops the left-hand wing into the water to get the Racebird turned. That looks good in that position, but again, if you do get too trimmed out, you get too far out of the water, the Racebird becomes unstable, and that's where you just have to find that sweet spot. You'll hear us talking about it throughout the race weekend here, and again, a little bit out of shape there through the left-handers.
Yeah, it's like she's actually just pushing a little bit too hard. But this is what happens at the beginning of the season, beginning of the weekend, I'm afraid. Everyone is out to get that perfect time and just need to relax and sit back a little bit. Just smooth ride it.
So here she comes up towards the final couple of left-handers on the normal course, and then exits it and will aim towards the time trial finish line. Normally she'd keep going left there to complete the course, but here in qualifying, look at this, there is the checkered smart marks, and she came across really well there, I have to say. 1:47 across the line, so 1:47.3 for her. I think Danny Kloss's time hasn't quite updated yet, a 1:18 that we've got for him. It looks like the 1:45 mark, 1:46, which is what JP, John Peters, gave us for the Team Blue Rising Racebird, is the benchmark at the moment, 1:46.2. Emma Kymäläinen, a 1:47.3. Keep an eye now as we get ready for our next boat to head out there, and this is the Team Alula, championed by LeBron James, the NBA legend, involved with this Team Alula setup. Rusty Wyatt and Katie Munnings are the two pilots here, and it is the Canadian-American Rusty Wyatt, who's made such a splash on the world of Formula One powerboating last year, where he came in as a rookie and performed superbly. He's a rookie here, and he looked great, didn't he, in that opening round back in Jeddah. The team as a whole did, actually, to say it was their first weekend of action.
Very calm and very collected, and got some great results. He's looking good here now. He's got that balanced beautifully, lovely air underneath. See how he takes these left-hand corners. lost him in the wash there. Here we are, look, on the boost, nicely round the corners. That was really smooth.
Yeah, smart stuff from Rusty. Team Alula 7th in the championship, 7th of the opening weekend. They did have a couple of glitches just on race day in the end. Which looked like the hull was down in the water a little bit there, didn't it? Hard to tell from the overhead shots. They were, however, second fastest in qualifying. In fact, had the fastest time in the time trials back in Jeddah. But here we are in the Pearl in Qatar. I have to say, racing around the marina, those shots are stunning, aren't they? A real appreciation for the finesse that you need inside one of these cockpits.
Great shot there of the rear foil we had, which was obviously what gave Team Drogba the problem this morning, but there's nothing wrong with Team Alula. They are running lovely here, and he doesn't seem to have dropped into the water as much as everyone else and landed heavy. He's got a good ride.
Yeah, and when you do see them drop like that there, that's the help turn, isn't it? I loved how you described it back in Jeddah. Grip, generating grip with that outside wing, or inside on that occasion, to get the boat turned. I'll start calling them race birds. 149.9 for Rusty Wyatt there, so not quite as quick as either John Peters or Emma Kimilainen. Such a still water out there. We'll get another run at it. Rusty Wyatt there. Hard to tell at the moment where John Peters made the difference and where, for example, Rusty Wyatt didn't find the time, isn't it, on that one? We'll be able to have a closer look. It seemed like John Peters in the middle sector, so on that part of the course where he was strong. So we are here with our youngest competitor in E1, Oban Duncan. You know her very well indeed, Shelley. A really tough first weekend back in Jeddah. A few problems, as we've heard, with the race bird already this weekend. However, now it counts. That was free practice. Now we can go racing for real, shall we say?
I know. Come on, Oban. They weren't that pleased with their results from Jeddah. They've had a team change, which is always slightly, unnerving for everybody. But come on, Oban. You know what you're doing. Let's have a good one. There she is, cool as a cucumber.
Just 19 years of age, the young Scot. The time she's been given at the moment, look at the top of the screen, it's 12 minutes, but I can assure you that can't quite be right. She goes through the far part of the course, around the red smart marks. The little yellow mark keeps them away from the edge of the marina.
Oban Duncan was PIF Pilot of the Year last year, so well done to Oban, and she certainly looks like she's handling this beautifully, and why she was the PIF Pilot.
Yeah, they did finish the opening weekend in last place, 9th in the championship. You can just see her come through the left-hander. Another one now to hit. Now you just got to straighten up as much as you can, get that race bird up on the foils, and head for those two smart marks. On board we go with Oban. Through the checker marks, and actually that's a really competitive lap. That's the fastest that we've seen. Now we've got Danny Kloss of having done a 1:18. I don't think that can be right. Bear in mind that Oban Duncan has done a 1:45, John Peters a 46. I think that hasn't got the last sector right for Danny Kloss, so hopefully we get an update in terms of that time, but that could be the fastest time so far of that session. Yes,
well done, Oban. She's looking quite hot and flustered there. That just goes to show how hot it is in the canopy for them. But what I thought there, Gavin, was when they're coming across that start line, it looks like they're literally flat out heading towards the boats. That's really quite unnerving for them. What a fantastic course, and they've really got to hold it together there.
Yeah, that will only be for qualifying. In the race themselves, they will come back to this area to finish, which will be exciting in itself, racing around the marina. I just think it's the first time we've come here with E1 to Doha. I have to say it is a perfect setting for it, right on the Arabian Gulf here. Stunning backdrop. Just see all those beautiful apartment buildings, hotels and everything in the background. They could have a great view this weekend, aren't there? There's going to be a few people out on their balconies, I'm sure. It's weekend here in Doha. on Friday. So, yeah, absolutely beautiful setting for them.
What an amazing bonus if you've booked into a hotel in one of those sky rises there and you get the E1 World Championships on your doorstep. Now this will be interesting to see if his time is low again.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what they give us for Danny Kloss. So in the first sector, quicker than anyone, a 37.6 for him in sector 1, keeping up that form. Look at this, look at his control through that corner there. Just the way he's working on that steering wheel, working on the trim as well. You can see him on the paddles on the back, just keeping things in check. Lots going on, but Danny Kloss.
Yeah, he has got great trim there as well. He is in positive trim and he's really doing very well. I think that time could have been real. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're just going to see now as he comes round, the second split. There's still a little bit to John Peters in that sector. Here we come, around the left-hander. We'll straighten up now and head towards, as you say, a rather unnerving finish line, a 1:43.5. There it is, Danny Kloss. That is the fastest time of this time trial so far, but he has done 2 laps now, so he's completed his 2. That is a great benchmark set by the championship leaders.
Man. I was fighting with the boat, but it was
Clean, that's what he said, fighting with the boat. I have to say, the finesse, the fine control that he was putting in there, you can see with the paddles when he's working on the trim behind the steering wheel, very similar to a single-seater car, you know, the steering wheel, all kinds of buttons on it, but the paddles working on that trim. So much going on for Danny Kloss, but he seems to have the measure at the moment of this race bird as John Peters just gets it turned to head out onto the course. For Team Blue Rising, championed by Virat Kohli, the Indian cricket legend, who, as I say, is currently, well, yesterday he was playing for India against Bangladesh. Let's have a see through this first split. So Danny Kloss clocked a 37.6. On this occasion, John Peters a 39.4. So just losing a bit of time in that first sector there for John Peters. Vastly experienced powerboat racer himself is JP. Brilliant opening round, as we say, on the podium back in Jeddah. Look at all the water across our onboard cameras as he heads back towards the marina.
That was very smooth as he came around that corner. I mean, I'm looking at the ride height, Gavin. That's very interesting to watch as they drop into those corners and glide it round.
Interesting again in terms of the trim. It's almost opposite to what Danny Kloss had at that moment in terms of where he is in the trim.
Yeah, he's nowhere near trimmed as high as Danny. He's a lot lower. He's more in the sort of mid-range level, to be honest.
Out of the final corner for this time trial course and to the checker marks across the line for a 1:47.4, so an improvement for JP and Team Blue Rising, but he goes into, that's in 4th place, I think, in terms of fastest time. So still Danny Kloss, he was 4 seconds behind Danny Kloss on this extended time trial course. So Tom Brady's Emma Kimiläinen heading out onto the course now. She sets off on her 2nd lap, hopefully much cleaner through this sector. We saw her airborne on the first go around, and it certainly looks a little bit better, doesn't it, Shelley?
Much smoother, much better start for her. That would have, hopefully that first sector will be a lot faster for her there with no little mishaps.
They are the most successful team, of course, reigning world champions, Team Brady, her and Sam Coleman last year. I would say dominated the championship. They took those 3 race wins last year, but just off the podium, off the boil ever so slightly in that opening round. A few things that got in their way, a few battles here and there. 5th in the championship. They took 4 points, however, in qualifying. 3 points on offer at the end of today in the qualifying races. So keep an eye on Team Brady, always seem to perform well there. On board we go, off the boost currently, but still full throttle for Emma, and again, just almost catches the outside wing. Thankfully she's okay. Drops the left-hand edge into the water to get her turned. Head back towards the marina now. She was under through that first sector. Just through the second, just dropped ever so slightly, but still really competitive here, I have to say, Shelley, in terms of the lap time.
Yeah, again, we're in positive trim, the opposite to Danny, who was in negative trim. The ride height quite low. So it'll be interesting to see if her speed is more than Danny's. I would hazard a not.
Aggressive, I have to say, through that final turn to head towards the line now, and across she comes, a 1:45.1, an improvement there from Emma Kymäläinen, so she goes up into second spot with her 2 laps completed. Takes a breather. Right, time for Rusty Wyatt to go again. Still 2 more race birds to go. And here comes Rusty. That's where the stopwatch starts, through the first of the smart marks. So all this counts. It's all part of the qualifying lap, and he just dropped ever so briefly off the fall, but just a moment like that, just a moment with the hull in the water, when you're trying to be clean through there, that can cost you vital tenths of seconds.
The seconds count on this. That's so important. You can see how close the whole field is. We're literally talking 2 to 3 seconds, and a drop like that would take 2 seconds from you straight away.
And what we have to say is, everything counts, doesn't it, this year? The gap from the first to the last teams last time out in Jeddah was negligible. What were we talking? 2 seconds, weren't we, across the whole field? Nothing to choose, and it just means that every little moment, every little mistake, or every little bit of advantage that you can take counts.
That's what's so lovely about a one design class.
Katie Munnings just watching on there. She was out for Formula E last weekend, and now in her uniform to get going. She'll be up later on this morning, or this afternoon, in Qatar. Ooh, little moment again for Rusty in LeBron James's Alula boat. Positive trim for Rusty as he exits that final corner now, gets it flying beautifully through there, but I think this time he's just going to be off. Not quite on the pace so far this weekend for Rusty Wyatt. A few challenges being thrown in their path. So as things stand, that is the slowest of the 5 pilots out there. Don't forget though, Katie Munnings will have her own go at this later on when she goes out with the B pilots later on. Our final pilot to go then. Didier Drogba's team of Oban Duncan, and this weekend Micah Wilkinson joining alongside the young Scot. Start the watches as she goes through the first smart marks, and we ride on board with her.
Yeah, this is a great diagram here. We can actually feel and ride it with her. You can see her trim moving up and down. She's in positive trim there. So trimming the boat out as far as she can. What have we got there? We've got 6,000 revs. The steering angle at the bottom is obviously the way she's turning the boat. So fantastic diagram there, just showing everything. And we've got the ride height just up, which is obviously very different because in powerboat racing we don't have ride height. Of course, the E1 Racebird is so unique with its foils and that it lifts and flies. So I absolutely love the ride height.
Yeah, not seen anywhere else in powered water sports. on the foils.
Very high on the trim there as she's going round the corner, which again we've said so many times is the complete opposite to any other boat on the water. The race bird is so difficult to race and fly in the air.
She has set the fastest first sector, but then just dropped off in the second split. I'm going to see now, she rounds, got a couple of more of these red smart marks on the inside. She will drop the left-hand wing into the water, and again, and then quickly, look how the revs rise, she does that, and then she'll quickly get up and power towards the finish line here. This will bring to a close the first of our time trials, and a 1:45.9 puts her in third place in this session. A little bit confused with that one, but no doubt about our front runners again after the end, as we have a look at Oban down there in the Team Drogba Racebird. Whatever fix they made, that's worked, but Team Aoki and Danny Kloss are going to be the ones to beat again, because he has set a stunning lap time, 1:43.5. Compare that to a 45.9 from Oban Duncan, and then Rusty Wyatt completing things with a 1:49. So as Team Drogba boat makes its way back towards the milling area, canopy is open down there, and just heading back towards the milling area. You go under this bridge. Great view as she's going to head under the bridge now. So as she comes back towards the launch zone, that's a job well done, isn't it? Bearing in mind there must have been a few stresses going on out there with all the changes that were going on. As she heads her way back, you can see the Team Blue Rising boat in the water. Let's hear from down there. I believe Alex has caught up with our fastest pilot, Danny Kloss.
Danny, thanks so much for joining us. So far, so good. Fastest pilot. As things stand, how was that for you?
Good feeling. First of all, I love this city. Doha, it's a mega place to be, and yeah, we feel comfortable since the beginning. I feel really happy with the boat. I think that the quali lap was quite nice and smooth, and that's the most important thing. You know, it's a little bit different way as we did in Jeddah, but yeah, it came up good. Now there's the other group, so we see.
You did so well in Jeddah, champions out there. How does that change your mindset going into this weekend?
Well, this weekend I start from zero again. So yeah, we won the first race. That's amazing. I love it. But now, you know, we reset and we start from zero. So starting with a good lap, then it's good. Feeling okay with the boat. It's mega. Now, Michelle, you know, she will do the job as she knows, and you know, we are just here to do the best we can, for sure.
It is extremely warm. What does it feel like inside the cockpit?
I mean, I was training myself in the sauna, you know, before this, but yeah, it's hot. So the temperature is changing, you know, a little bit, but still good. So we're used to this.
Go and find yourself a fan. Danny, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hey, there's lots of fans back here as well in the commentary booth watching on, because Danny Kloss has taken to this so well. Now, this is the Team Brady moment we saw for Emma Kimmelainen. Wow! If you wanted a view of the rear foil, then there it was. Shelley, you are mouth agape at that.
That was a big airborne moment, as we call it. Are we going to see it now on board with her? I bet she sees the sky a lot. Oh, it didn't look so bad from the cockpit view there. But yes, that was a big moment, very airborne.
Yeah, a little grimace, I have to say, from Emma. She's used to her bumps and what have you. She's been there and done that in the world of four wheels. But I tell you what, it's a different situation, isn't it, when you're in one of these race birds. This is how we ended the first of our groups for the qualifying time trial. Hoki racing quickest with Danny Kloss, a 1:43.4. And despite that moment, Emma Kimmelainen second for Team Brady, a 1:45.17. Team Drogba and Owen Duncan there in third, with John Peters in the Blue Rising Racebird in fourth, and Rusty Wyatt at the back for Team Alula by LeBron James, 1:48.4. They were quickest in the time trials back in Jeddah, but just shows from one race to the next, things are not as straightforward as you might think. So there'll be work to be done for Katie Munnings when she heads out onto the water. It looks like the boats are already in the water. Yes, it looks like that's the Westbrook Racing Racebird getting ready to go, and we'll have Lucas Ordonez, or is it Team Rafa? Could well be Chris Lasaraga for Team Rafa as we head out onto the course and get ready to go. Green flag is go, and we are already there. No, I was right first of all. It's Lucas Ordonez for Westbrook Racing. Took a great fourth, having come last in qualifying, to then recover, to make it through to the final back in Jeddah, and then take fourth place. He and Sarah Price did a brilliant job throughout the weekend, a really good recovery session for them. And the talk is that Will Smith will be here watching on this weekend to watch that beautiful red boat performing as Lucas Ordonez sets off on his lap. We know now what the benchmark is. A mid 1:43 is what he'll be aiming for, and so the Spaniard from Madrid.
That was very smooth, that corner there. He was on full boost, full throttle, and it looked beautiful. Riding very high here.
Yeah, I wonder if that just isn't quite updated, but you can see the positive trim on it, on the boost now. Often just essentially using that boost out of corners to get that boat up onto the foils as quickly as possible. Every second of boost requires 2 seconds of recharge.
I have to say, this looks smooth, Gavin.
Yeah, looks really good, doesn't it, for Lucas Ordonez through the second sector, 23.33 through there. I'm not quite sure it's Danny Kloss speed. I think he might have lost a little bit of time in the first sector, judging by the timing screens. Here we go then, towards the finish line now for Lucas Ordonez, and he bounced his way through there, yeah. And stopped the clock, 1:46.9 from Lucas. So okay, but there are margins for improvement. I think in the first sector alone, actually, could probably knock off. Easy said, isn't it, from here in the commentary positions, but just in comparison to the other teams, that's where the time was lost. And they'll know that, he'll know that. His spotter up in the mission control be well aware of that, Shelley.
Yeah, I think our ride heights are not quite updating as fast because they're not moving as much as they were in the first few boats. Just if you're looking at those ride heights, I think we're not getting the data back just as quick as we need at the moment.
So this is Team Miami, Mark Anthony's squad, who had so many successes last year, but 3 GPs now without a podium. So the hope is that Anna Glennon here, Jet Girl herself. And now interesting here, Shelley, a much wider line through there. Other people were really hugging tight to the smart marks. But I have to say, Anna took a much wider line, but it's almost, she's been able to keep it on the foils all the way around there. No dropping off it at all. This is really, really smooth to start this qualifying time trial lap from the American.
Yeah, this is a completely different technique, so I'm very interested to see the time here. She is not dropping at all. Look at her. Oh, just drops. Yeah, obviously that's quite a tight corner, so she had to drop for that one. But the rest of it was really high and smooth.
It looked high, it looked clean, but it was wide, as in it was a wider line. Now, I'm sure that was a tactic there, but you've got to think, if you do go the wider line, effectively you are doing more meters. You are having to run a longer lap, effectively. So we'll see when she comes around that first sector of 41, which is behind where Lucas Ordonez was. 24.4 in the second sector, so just losing a little bit of time in there also. back in towards the marina now for Anna Glennon. Of course, the champion of her team, Mark Anthony, the Grammy Award-winning musician and entrepreneur as well. Team Miami, we will go there for the final round of the championship this year. It's going to be so exciting, isn't it, to see these E1 race birds around Miami. So Anna Glennon clocks a 150.1, and however clean it looked at the start, unfortunately wasn't fast.
No,
yet.
Taking the wider line did not help her there. So that's good for us. We've learned something as well. Less ground to cover, the better.
Team Brazil and Timmy Hansen, the rallycross star, heading out onto the course now for Team Brazil. Again, we've mentioned it, there were differing fortunes, weren't there, that opening round in Jeddah. And for Timmy Hansen and Marit Stromoy, the legendary powerboat racer, the team 8th place overall, just didn't quite work throughout the weekend. Hopefully things sorted this weekend. I know he's a bit under the weather back in Saudi. Racebird looks great though, doesn't it? Championed by business entrepreneur Marcelo Claure. And he heads out onto the course proper now through the first sector. You know what? That's one of the fastest first sectors we've seen so far. 137.3 from Timmy.
Not Timmy, Gavin. It's all about the trim. I'm watching the trim avidly, and Timmy and Danny run on literally level to negative. Everyone else goes level to positive.
Interesting with them both, you know, having come from the four-wheel world. You know, you just have to wonder if it's just something in terms of their technique that they've been able to translate across when you speak to Timmy. And I know you have been recently, you know, saying it is all a learning process for everybody out there. But looking good in this sector. And again, he was quick in the second sector too. Drops it in to get it turned. One more smart mark to go, and then he'll just get it up onto the pole. That looked good. That looked really good, actually. Almost preemptive, the way he dropped the boat into the water to get it turned. He's on the boost across the line. That is the fastest lap we have seen so far in the qualifying time trials. Timmy Hansen goes top with a 1:42.822.
And I have to say, he was the first person who's saved his boost for the final run to the line, which to me would make sense, wouldn't it? Give yourself that little extra to the finish line. So well done, Timmy.
But I suppose there's also a desperation. You've got 20 seconds of boost in your hands. You want to use it. You want that power. But as you say, to get the run to the line, to make sure you have as much power as possible to come to the line there, judged it to perfection, and that's the fastest lap so far that we've seen. Just coming up to 2 p.m. here local time in Doha. As we get ready to go, right, it's Chris Lasaraga for Rafa Nadal's Team Rafa. Beautiful turned out machine. They are the most successful team in the championship in terms of podiums. Already so far have racked up 4. Still to rack up a win. Can it be this weekend? There have been penalties, as we saw back in Jeddah. There have been moments last year when that happened. If they can have a clean weekend, Shelley, you have to say that between Chris Lasaraga and Tom Schaap, they have all the talent in there, ready, don't they? They've got the podiums, they just need to get across the line to take that first win.
Yes, it must be very frustrating for them. They're just not quite there. But this is looking smooth, a little wobble there.
Yeah, really good first sector actually, only 2/10 outside of Timmy Hansen's mark through that S1, so we'll keep a close eye on how it develops for her as she heads towards the second sector mark, and again really competitive, only another 10th behind Timmy Hansen. This is going to put her right in the mix for Chris Lasaraga. Remember, these are the A pilots, so our second group of A pilots. Then we'll go again with the first 5 boats and their B pilots, and the other 4 will follow. So this is our second of 4 time trial sessions that we've got for you. Cristina Lasaraga in Team Rafa's boat on the boost now. She's got a little bit of boost to go here, and this should be great for her as she powers towards the finish line now. Let's have a see where she stops the clock at 1:41.7, and that is now another fastest lap being put in by Cris Lasaraga. Superb from the Spaniard. And again, I have to say, are the teams that are coming out in this second group, are they learning from what they've seen? Was there anything that the spotters will have been able to translate to them, or is this just how they've got their boats, their race birds set up for the day?
Well, I would hope that the spotters and the teams are watching what we're watching, Gavin. And we've all noticed that save your boost for the last dash to the finish line, which worked. So yes, maybe they are, and they're all talking about it. I'd love to have ears into the comms and to the boats.
So as things stand in this group, Westbrook Racing in 7th, Team Miami in 9th, and then we've seen two new fastest boats. Team Rafa go top with Cris Lasaraga, and Team Brazil and Timmy Hansen, the Swede, into second place. Here is Lucas Ordóñez. Shades on, looks a cool customer down there, but as Danny Kloss has just told us, it is boiling hot inside the cockpit of an E1 race bird. Will feel so calm and so shut off from the rest of the world inside those race birds, but here we go. Now it's all action. Now there's loads and loads of work. We talked about it being like a swan on the water, all graceful, all smooth, but there is just so much going on inside that cockpit for Lucas Ordóñez. Right, the clock is ticking as he sets off on his second time trial lap. He's a four-wheel racer originally. Just as he's getting on the boost there, a little bit shaky. You see a much tighter line than that we saw, for example, from Anna Glennon in the Team Miami race bird.
Yes, and the wider line didn't help Anna, so they've all learned from that. Keep it nice and tight, shortest course possible.
They won in front of Will Smith back in Lake Como last year, Westbrook Racing, with Lucas Ordóñez and Sarah Price. So I just wonder, with Will Smith in attendance this weekend, will that give them the boost they need? And I don't mean the boost that he's currently using to take him out of the marina here at the Pearl Island in Qatar. We go on board with the Westbrook Racing Racebird. Great shots from inside the canopy.
That is a lovely corner, because you see he got no wash over the windscreen, which means he didn't drop himself so hard that he put the brakes on. Beautiful corner.
Much better first sector and second sector actually on this occasion for Lucas Ordóñez. As you say, they were in 7th as he set off on this lap. Doesn't look necessarily the most comfortable though in terms of smooth ride and deliberate. Drops the left-hand wing in to get it turned. He's high up there. Has he got enough boost now to run it to the line? He's got something. So to power to the line now for Lucas Ordóñez.
Oh, and
148.6. Just as he came to the line, they say run out of boost.
Just run out of boost just before the line, but I'm sure it would have helped him a bit.
So a 148.6 was an improvement for Lucas Ordóñez. Sorry, it wasn't improvement, my apologies. He did a 146.9 prior. So a little bit of frustration. You see a shake of the head from Lucas. Yeah, I'm not happy. Not happy. This is how they would stand if things remain the same. But don't forget, the other halves of the teams still to go in this qualifying time trial. Still 2 race birds to go in this with Team Miami now. Or 3 to go actually, isn't it? Because Team Rafa, although they were supposed to go out first, they'll be going out last, just in a change to our pre-planned order. That's a tighter line, I have to say, from Anna Glennon on this occasion. Much closer to the smart marks on the inside. And just that in itself, that could gain you vital tenths, but I have to say, she looks so smooth through that first sector, just as she did on her previous lap. Unfortunately, a previous lap was enough. Now she's on the boost.
Well, if she can keep it smooth and take the tighter line, she should be a winner.
You can see the boost now recharging. She'll drop it in and then get on the boost again. To get it up onto the foils through the first sector. Quicker, definitely quicker in that first sector. But still has lost a couple of tenths of a second. Still off the boost now.
She does make everything very smooth. Anna is a little bit too long in the water there, but on the boost.
All on the boost through this corner, which is an interesting technique, I have to say. So, Anna on the far part of the course through that corner. Now she's back on the boost again. Drop it in for this little kink. Just taking off ever so slightly through there. See the city of Doha in the background, that silhouette there. Beautiful shots of that hugely transformed city. This is the better lap, I have to say. She has had a little bit of a recharge, so has a bit of boost now. She brings it through this left-hander, but it's going to run out before she gets to the line. Yeah, they're going to have to look at that boost strategy, I think, for Anna Glennon and Team Miami. Stops the clock at 1:48.7, so it's an improvement, but still, unfortunately, in 9th place, in a stony-faced Anna Glennon in Mark Anthony's Team Miami race bird.
Am I cleared across the bridge?
I'm going to have to look at where the boost is being used in that Team Miami squad.
They were using the boost an awful lot in the corners. Their sort of strategy was like power through the corners, but it seems that everyone else is using it on the straight, and it's working.
Well, let's have a see now. We've got Timmy Hansen, one of the fastest pilots so far. Our 8th of 9 to go out. All 18 pilots will have a go in these time trials, but Timmy Hansen, second quickest, 1:42.8. So we will keep a close eye how he performs. The clock is ticking already, as you can see, top left of your screen. So he's on the boost a lot there in the first part, so through the first sector. Now recovering the recharge in that boost around the remainder of this right-hander, and then it's onto the course proper. We'll drop the left wing in the water to get turned, heading out of the marina. Using the boost to get back up onto the foils. Little launch there for Timmy. And through that first sector, competitive, but just a tenth behind where Chris Lasaraga was. So not as quick as his first run, I don't think.
No, he'll be desperate to beat Chris. He's a little bit higher on the trim this time. He's not as negative as he was before.
Trying something a little bit different to try and find that edge.
That's what I was thinking. He's trying a slightly different technique, and I think your old technique was better, Timmy, if you can hear me. Wish you could hear me.
Heading towards the left-handers. That second red smart mark will bring us back towards the finish line. Now he's got a lovely amount of boost here to drag him towards the line, though. Not sure this is going to be quicker than his first salvo, though. No, 1:46 on this occasion. Almost 4 seconds slower than he was on his opening run. But the Team Brazil by Claret Group Racebird not improving on this occasion. Trying something different.
We actually heard him say very briefly then, yeah, I try something different. So interesting. We're predicting it, Gavin.
One more race bird to go, and it's Rafael Nadal's Team Rafa boat with his compatriot Cristina Lasaraga in the cockpit, in the hot seat, quite literally, getting ready to head out onto the water now. Up on the foil, start the clocks. Qatar Open is here for the tennis, so I wonder whether Rafa might be able to pop over, have a look at the, have a watch of that, and have a watch of this over the race weekend. So I'm not sure if he will be in the Ocean Club this weekend. Chris on the boost now. Interesting, different tactics definitely to Timmy Hansen. Used it to get to the corner, the boost, to get across the line, have a bit of pace, and then just out of the corner each time. So she's off the boost now. Watch now when she just drops the left wing into the water, quickly on the boost to get it up onto the foils. Seems to be working.
Completely different technique to Timmy.
Good first sector then for Chris Lasaraga. We go on board with the race bird. Jet ski champion herself, Chris.
She puts the boost on sort of halfway through the corner to pull her out and up onto the straight. She's recharging now. She's saving it for her dash to the finish line.
Yeah, and we're just about to see her come now through the couple of final smart marks. There you can see, just as you said, in the middle of the corner, onto the boost she goes, and she's got enough boost then to bring her to the finish line. This is another great lap, I have to say, from Cristina Lasaraga, a 1:41.206. Another fastest lap too. Excellent, excellent lap from the jet ski champion in the Team Rafa boat, and she is vastly speedy E1 Racebird pilot.
That was the perfect strategy. Absolutely spot on.
Is better than the first one or not?
I think we can hear her there. She was speaking to her mission control, asking if she was better or not. We can tell you, Christina, it was better. And stunning technique that we had there from Christina. And she's just going to head back to the milling zone, but her team will be on the radio to let her know she is fastest in the first group. Great shots under the bridge.
Copy, copy.
Not many other places will go this year where the boat's going under the bridge is going to be part of the action that we'll see. What a backdrop. The Pearl Island here in Doha, in the Arabian Gulf. Glistening waters as she comes back in. She's heading back in, we were hoping to be able to speak to her, but let's see if we might be able to. So hopefully we can speak to Christina now. Chris, that was an absolutely stunning lap, the fastest of anyone already this afternoon. How did it feel out on the water? I don't know if Chris can hear me. I'm going to try again, see if we can speak to her. The fastest race bird out there, Chris.
In the overall,
how did that feel?
Do I have?
I think she's only able to hear our mission control, not our commentary, unfortunately. But I mean, we can say she's done a fantastic job, can't we?
And I think the smile on her face says it all. We didn't have to hear from her. The smile and the confidence. Well done, Chris.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, great performance. That she'll be back into the launch zone. Boats look great, don't they, down there? They don't. In general, we say they don't leave the water now for the rest of the day. It's only at the end of the day they get craned out, and if they want to make prop changes or sand the foils, which is another part we don't really get to talk about too much, but an important, really crucial part actually of getting these boats, a bit like waxing your surfboard might be a way to describe it. Right, as Cristina Lasaraga is all smiles, I wonder how Lucas Ordóñez is, Westbrook Racing 7th quickest. Let's hear what he has to say. He's chatting with Alex down on the water side.
Lucas, not a great start to the day. I know you've had issues with your boat. Can you talk us through it? What's happening with Team Westbrook?
Yeah, well, we've been facing the same issue last yesterday as in Jeddah with electrical throttle issues. I think now it's fixed. For quali it was fixed, but we still don't have any speed like in Jeddah. It's like a very difficult race bird to handle. Sarah and I, we're still struggling to keep it on foils like in Jeddah, and yeah, it's a different situation than in Lake Como as we ended up last year, where we felt really confident on the straights with the trim, and now it's like we forgot how to handle it, but this is not over. We're still fighting, but yeah, not a great qualifying for sure, but I know it's not my fault, it's something else we need to find, but yeah, it's what it is, and that's racing.
What do you think you need to do to get back to the level that we saw from Westbrook Racing in Lake Como?
Well, I've got a great team behind me, and Westbrook Racing always fights, and even on the tough situations like last night, and yeah, we're gonna try to do our best. We don't know what's the issue, as Jeddah was the same. We almost finished last in qualifying. Here we are still very slow in qualifying. Then we do good things in racing, but ultimately the pace we have is not there, and yeah, we still don't know what's going on, but definitely there's something that we are missing.
Lucas, thank you. Good luck to you and your team.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully they can get that sorted. Sarah Price will go out later on, but work to be done for Lucas Ordóñez and Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. Third quickest in the Group 2 session, but overall in 7th place. It was Chris Lasaraga in the Team Rafa Racebird, who is the fastest pilot, not only of that group, but overall here in Qatar, as we fly high above the Pearl Island. This was Christina Lasaraga inside the E1 Racebird, and what do we think she was doing differently? Where was she finding the edge, do you reckon, Shelley?
Well, she was boosting halfway through the corner and then out, so it sort of she dropped the wing, boosted, lifted herself up, and then that seemed to work beautifully for her. And I think she again was on sort of level to negative trim. She never went too high on the trim, which seems to they lose speed or stability. She was very smooth, and an amazing strategy to have all that boost to the finish line. She just got everything right.
Yeah, it was a great opening weekend for Team Rafa, brought it home in 2nd place back in Jeddah, and starting the weekend well, and still Tom Schaap to come, so if that raceboat is running well, we know he'll be super competitive. Are Rafael Nadal's squad finally going to break their winning duck? Look at that water washing over the wing there. Looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it, from on board as she powers through the marina here in Doha. Team Rafa fastest after our first 9 pilots have had a go, but we'll have a switch in pilots now. Both count. She'll hand over the baton to Tom Schaap for Team Rafa. All smiles down there so far, punching the air. It's just the start of the job. We've seen people qualify quickest and end up last over the race weekend, so it's not always as straightforward as it seems. Turquoise waters as we fly high over the marina here at the Pearl Island. Beautiful, beautiful scenes for our 2nd round of the UAM E1 World Championship presented by PIF. Let's have a see if we can hear from our fastest pilot of the day so far, down there with Alex Aljo.
Wow, Chris Lasaraga certainly on fire. So fast, Chris. Talk me through that strategy and how you executed it so well.
Well, since the morning that I first tried the track, I really like it. It's very tight and it's very technical, which is something that I love. Also, it reminds me of my days of jet ski, where we raced in the lagoon and the water is super flat. So the feeling of flying was incredible, and I was feeling very comfortable, and well, the time showed that.
What are you going to say to Tom? What are you advising him about the course?
what can I say? Tom is the best pilot of the grid, so I'm not expecting less than to beat me or at least to be P2. It was funny because we were speaking now in the radio and we were laughing about who's going to be the first, if him or me, so it's very nice to work like this.
Who do you think, you or Tom?
I hope it's me, but I believe a lot in Tom, so it can be.
Have you spoken to your team owner, to Rafa Nadal? What's he saying?
Not yet, I just got out of the boat, but I'm sure that we will receive a message today.
Good luck with the rest of the weekend, Chris. Well done.
Thank you very much. Vamos!
Teamwork, the key. Will Tom Schaap improve on her lap time? We'll find out soon enough, because the other race birds are heading out onto the course as we speak. We are ready to go with our second groups in the qualifying time trials here at the Visit Qatar E1 Doha GP for 2025, round 2 of the E1 World Championship presented by PIF. Beautiful scenes overlooking the Pearl Island here in Doha, capital city of the state of Qatar. We've had our first 9 pilots go, and as I say, we have got our second group just heading out to the milling area now, as you can see, and it will be the fastest boat on average times, which will count and head them through into the qualifying races later on. So remember, it's an average time between those two, so important really, Shelley, that teamwork happens. There we can see it was Aoki Racing quickest in time trial A of the A pilots, but it was the B pilots who are quicker of Team Rafa and Team Brazil. Overall, those are the 3 fastest boats, which is good to see. Good comeback, isn't it, from Team Brazil, but important that it's average times now that will decide their positions heading through into the qualifying races.
Yes, it's all down to both pilots, driver skill. That's what's going to get them the points. They have to work very much as a team together, the male and the female pilots.
So there are 5 boats in the water now. Team Blue Rising, Virat Kohli's squad, Didier Drogba's team, Tom Brady's Team Brady, the reigning world champions, LeBron James's team Alula, and Steve Aoki, well-renowned DJ, who won that opening round in Jeddah. It looks like they're going to be going first in this one. Yeah, away we go, and it's Michelle Alobaidan inside the cockpit for this one. Performed brilliantly on home soil. She's very emotional, I have to say, after that whole race weekend. Oh, no problem. A problem for her already. Well, it looked like she was going and suddenly drops off, and a problem perhaps. Not sure what's happened here. We're in the cockpit with Michelle. As we say, it was such a great weekend, wasn't it, back in Jeddah. Already Danny Kloss has set a stunning lap time, 3rd quickest earlier.
Okay, head back to the milling area with the exit procedure or turn from here.
Yeah, she's obviously being informed by mission control. She's got to head back to the milling area now.
Was that a fault with her boat, or was she red flagged that we didn't see?
I wonder whether she was told. We were under the understanding, we thought that Team Drogba might be going first with Micah Wilkinson, but she's going to head back to the milling area now. Originally it was Oki Racing who were going out first, so yeah, anyway.
Coffee, thank you.
So she's got the message, and it looks like she's going to head back now to the milling area. And we're going to have to wait for her to get back there. Said it was the proudest moment of her racing career all round to go and take that win. And of course she won races over the weekend as well. Lovely to hear, and to do it in front of friends and family at home in Saudi.
Oh, it couldn't have been a better weekend for her. And as you say, so nice to do it on your home turf. That always makes a difference. You feel so proud.
So whatever's happened here, it's all going to be okay. She'll head back towards the milling area and we'll get a chance to go again.
The race bird looks absolutely fine. I don't think we've got any technical problems there. So I think there was just maybe a small communication error, and she was red flagged to come back.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Shelley. No harm done. Yeah, there you can see the number 5 by her graphic. Our understanding was it was going to be Team Drogba and new boy, rookie, Micah Wilkinson, who was going to head out there, hoping to back up the good work done by Oban Duncan earlier on. She got to 145.5, so anything in that region will stand them in good stead. We'll just take this time to remind you an average lap time from both pilots that count towards their position, their seedings effectively, for the qualifying races. We've had confirmation from race direction that yeah, it was the schedule had been that Team Drogba would go first, and that's why Michelle was called back to the milling area. Right, back in order now. We can get going here with our newest pilot added into the mix, Kiwi Micah Wilkinson, a foiling world champion in the past, races, foiling race yachts as well, bronze at the Paris Olympics in the NACRA 17 mixed multi-hull. He was at the Tokyo Olympics too, so very much someone who has come from the sailing world, and yet here he is taking part in the E1 World Championship.
Doing well. It's got a little unsteady moments, but he seems to be running it quite nicely. Got good air underneath.
Now goes on the boost, heading out towards the exit marina through the little kink there. Oh, a little bit out of shape. first event that Micah has taken part in. He has been the team reserve rider, pilot, driver for a while.
And he's not going positive trim or negative trim at the moment. He's pretty in the middle. He's got that was a bit of a grimace there, wasn't it? I think he's
like
struggling to hold it all together at the moment, but you know, it's first time out there.
Yeah, he was fighting it, didn't he? Again, he's got himself a little bit of boost now. Just see, as soon as you can see the pilots get on that boost, straight up onto the foils they go, to the line now for Micah. Good lap time, very similar, very similar actually to the time set by Owen Duncan. A tenth between them, remarkably, isn't it? After all that, 1 minute 45 and just a tenth between he and the young Scot. So that puts them in good stead. You know, it's not one pilot is much quicker than the other and they've dropped back through the order. Very similar performance from the pair of them.
It was as if he was, dare I say, a little heavy-handed on the steering wheel. He seemed to sort of be snapping it a little bit. I think if he could just glide it and be a little bit more gentle, that would just help him a little bit.
So we get going with our second race bird here in this second group of pilots, and it's Katie Munnings who's inside the cockpit, the young Brit, Extreme E and World Rallycross driver, former ladies European Rally champion, racing with Extreme E, vastly experienced across all forms of motorsport really, Katie, and the entertainment world too. She's heading out now onto the course proper through that first red smart mark.
She's taking a nice tight line of the whole course right from the beginning.
On the boost now, heading out towards the exit of the marina. Use that boost to get a little bit of momentum. That looked really good, I have to say. First sector just outside the time set by Micah. Quicker through the second split. Very similar lap time actually. Rusty Wyatt previously did a 1:48.4 in this race, but it'll be interesting to see if they've learned anything. Look at that, how high actually, riding out of the water.
Yeah, she is high, but she's keeping the speed up and doing really well, and she's conserving the boost very well.
Yeah, so now it's recharging. She'll have something here and straight on it. Perfect, wasn't it? Through there. And a little bit more now to drag her towards the finish line. This looked good in terms of the pace she had in the second part of the course. This is going to be quicker, I would say, than Rusty Wyatt. Yes, 1:46.1. So a good combination for Team Alula, championed by LeBron James. Katie Munnings, 2.3 seconds quicker than her teammate Rusty Wyatt. Obviously got much more feeling. And you know what, Shelley, when Chris Lasaraga spoke earlier, it was the fact that you get certain feelings about the courses, and clearly it was working for Christina, where it might not be for Rusty, for example.
She did. She said she loved the tightness and the sort of technicality of the course, and she was really enjoying that. She's obviously studied it well and planned her route.
Next up, the vastly experienced Sam Coleman for Team Brady, of course. Tom Brady will be watching on. I'm sure we'll get to see him at some point during this season. Boat riding high in the water. Huge amounts of experience in the world of powerboating for Sam Coleman.
Don't think he wants to be dropping that there. I think, not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, we've seen a few preemptive drops of the race bird into the water to get them turned, but in that first sector, it was the quickest we've seen so far in this Group 1B. Use the boost button there to drag him out towards the far reaches of the course. And now heading back into the marina. Again, another good second sector. This is a good lap actually coming in. So Emma Kymäläinen earlier clocked a 1:45.1. I feel like this is going to be that little bit quicker. And again, so important that the pilots complement each other. Wow, interesting what he's going to have in terms of boost here. Used it there to get towards these final corners now, but he's not going to have much boost here to drag him towards the line. So it might be a fast sector. Here he is on the boost now. From here, you could just hear, couldn't you? The revs dropping ever so slightly though, in terms of the power was dropping. So he just didn't have enough boost to take him to the line. And we haven't had it come across a 1:45.5. So he lost a lot of time in that last sector there, Sam Coleman.
He seemed to be dropping and landing heavily, even on the straights, as if it was just not flying well for him, which would have lost him time. Don't think he'll be very happy with that one.
Well, one thing I have to say, obviously, it's going to be a different course when we actually go racing. Not only this afternoon in the qualifying races, but on race day, they won't have to use the boost in the same way. They won't want perhaps to keep as much boost as they got. So there's certainly, do you have a strategy that works just for this time trial, and then a different strategy again for qualifying races, and another strategy again then when you go racing on Saturday?
It's all completely different, because in the races you've got other boats to contend with, and the famous dirty water that upsets everybody. So yes, there's so much to learn in the E1 Racebird, and so many different strategies for the different courses. That's what makes it so exciting and so competitive.
This is Virat Kohli's Team Blue Rising now, the fourth of our boats in this group to head out, and it is Jamaican Sarah Mizier, who grew up originally as an equestrian, then started go-karting after she suffered some really bad injuries on the horses, then started GT racing, Jamaican Motorsport Athlete of the Year a number of times, got a Masters in Architecture. She is a proper jack of all trades, Sarah Mizier, and then brought this Racebird home on the podium back in Jeddah. A brilliant start to her rookie season in E1. Up on the floor, that looked great. I have to say, that looked great for Sarah out towards the back of the course. First sector, however, was a bit more costly.
Totally different technique to Chris there. She was boosting all the way around the corner, as opposed to sort of halfway round and coming out.
On the boost now for Sarah Mizier. Have some boost all the way towards the line here now. So this, again, she might have lost time in the earlier sectors, but could then pick up time here with the boost in the final sector. She comes to the line now, 1:47.2. Straight in. How was that? Straight away she came across the line there. I love it. A real bubbly character. And yeah, about a second off John Peters' time. So 1:47.2 from Sarah.
What was my time in the first sector?
So here we go now with Michelle Alobadan. One aborted mission, but now she can get going for real. Around the marina she goes, heading out. Beautiful shots of the island in the middle of the Pearl here in Qatar. A bit of a launch there. Obviously you want to keep the hull out of the water as much as possible when you're on the straights, but yeah, you can see if it gets too high, it drops you then back down because you get a little bit unsteady. Full on the throttle, using the boost out of there, drops the left edge into the water, and it's got completely and utterly swamped.
Her her trim
My
is
trim is
stuck.
stuck. Wait a second. The trim is stuck. The trim is stuck.
You spotted it.
Wait
I
a
could see
second.
you pointing at the screen. You.
I was pointing at the screen, Gavin, saying, look at her trim. Her trim went right down to negative 2.5, which is not, we never see that. And she has just confirmed her trim is stuck, which made her land in the water heavy. She's got it back now, it seems. She's back up to level with just a little bit of positivity. No, her trim, look, her trim again. Yeah, it's difficult to see it on the actual engine because it's so minimal.
But just explain, maybe for the layperson at home, what we mean when we talk about the trim there.
We're talking about the angle of the engine, whether it's trimmed in or trimmed out. Out is positive, in is negative.
She's on the boost now, coming round. Well, despite that problem, she's going to try and complete the lap. As you can see in the top of your screen, it's going to be the slowest lap we've seen so far. So that's a little bit of a frustrating start for the championship leaders. 1:57. So there was definitely some kind of problem there. She was straight on to mission control, but it got stuck.
Well, she came completely off the fly and down, landed into the water, so she would have lost valuable seconds there. She nearly came to a standstill. She's
A little bit frustrating for Michelle Alabaidan. There is a little bit of an investigation going into her rookie racing, so we will have to see what happens there. Yeah. As soon as we have more information about what's going on down there at Oki Racing, but could be frustrating. Bear in mind, Danny Kluss was very quick earlier, third on the initial group. Here we go then with Team Drogba. Second go for Micah Wilkinson. Great shots from the drone, isn't it, that we see of the E1 race bird. Some people up in those apartment blocks and hotels are getting great views of the E1 World Championship from their balconies.
I love it when we can see the eyes and the concentration.
And everywhere that Micah's looking, for example, so he's looking out on the water, looking down at his dash, looking at which button he's pressing, what he's doing. Really working hard.
Grimace
Again,
again,
Grimace is on.
trying to grab that. Look how violently he's turning the steering wheel there. He's really struggling to keep her balanced.
A lot of input being put in to the steering wheel from Mike Wilkinson, but a much better second sector. So whatever he was doing, it worked. That's the best we've seen through there.
I think he's doing incredibly well, considering this is his first time out, and coming from the sailing world, this is a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it has been through the E1 Academy, which brought together, well, if you look at all the pilots we've got, a lot of them have come through that academy from all kinds of different backgrounds, and he has a foiling background. That's where he's come from the world of foiling. So, you know, this feeling is something he's not unfamiliar with. As he came across the line, another very similar lap time, 1:45.2, almost identical to what he did previously. Very, very similar to Oban Duncan, so they've got a good combination going on between Oban and Micah.
You said about the eyes looking everywhere and the concentration. There is so much going on in that cockpit, Gavin. You're trying to fly the boat, you're looking at the controls, you're looking at your boost, your trim. It's a very, very technical job in there to race and fly the race bird all at the same time.
Almost a rueful smile there, but I think it was a decent performance from Micah. Katie Munning's turn now. Is it? Or is it? No, it's... it is Katie Munning's, yes, there we are. Get it right. On the boost. She flies around this first sector. Definitely very, very smooth, as we saw on her opening salvo. Just essentially using the boost all the way out there. Now when she comes off it, it will recharge. All that timing through there. They will have that run tomorrow to negotiate. 5 abreast, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Round the marina there, where they say racing rules apply. So we heard about that last time in terms of, you know, giving space to the other boats, giving space to the boats in front of you. A bit shocked by the seagulls coming off there. Hopefully that was just foreshortening the camera. She wasn't dispersing them all off the top of the water. So Katie through the first sector, not quite as quick as on the previous occasion. It's a great part of Qatar for them to be racing, and you can see all the people just going about their weekend business, all the shops and beautiful parts of this marina here.
This is very smooth. She doesn't land heavy, and she's just gliding it round when it's up on the foils and flying.
Is it the fastest way around though? That's what we will find out very soon indeed, as she rounds the last couple of corners now. She's got some boost to bring her back towards the finish line now as Katie. Come to the line again. A 1:46.6. Again, very, very similar lap time, but not as quick as her first effort, which was a 1:46.1. So, you know, you mentioned smooth there. We sort of said similar about Anna Glennon, didn't we? But the lap time wasn't there, so going to have a look at that. Just, I'm sure they'll have some discussions before the qualifying races later on.
Maybe the aggressive approach is the way forward.
Here we go then, out on the water for Sam Coleman and the reigning champions. Oh, that is a beautiful shot. The race bird flying around the Pearl Marina. Gorgeous to see these race birds in action. I know, something about having the marina in the background and all these high-rise blocks of apartments and hotels, it just makes them really pop, makes them stand out. Just dropped down there, but that was through a corner as he got it settled. Yeah,
And that wasn't very settled, to be fair. It was not as smooth as we usually see from Sam.
not just smooth, but we mentioned smooth with Katie Munnings a moment ago and it didn't work, and I have to say that's the fastest first sector that we've seen in this group from Sam Coleman so far. So I don't know, maybe that's just because he's running that hard.
We know Sam is a very competitive, aggressive racer. He's years of experience.
On the boost now, dragging him back towards the home. Using all the boost there. Oh, I thought he was about to drain it completely, but giving himself a little bit now. He'll just want enough. Just when he drops the left wing in now, to get it picked back up. Saving it for the final corner here. Remember, he ran out of it on the previous lap, so maybe this will help him as he comes towards the finish line now. This looks a little bit more competitive, I have to say, from Sam Coleman as he comes to the line. Yeah, he's improved by a second there. Improved by a second on his previous lap, and on combined times, currently that puts Team Brady in top spot.
To see as well.
Yeah, they're a great team, those.
Well, like, it was just bad timing with when I wanted to turn in and come off boost. It just started doing the loop, but that'll be enough.
Yeah, you could hear it from the horse's mouth there. Just, there's so much going on, and wanting to get that boost at the right moment, but also using it the right moment in the corner. Here we go then with Virat Kohli's Team Blue Rising and Sarah Mizier getting her second attempt out on the water. On the boost now. Flying the race bird around. GT racer in the day job, shall we say. After a podium back in Jeddah, I think E1 could be the future. Just like we saw with Sam Coleman there, through that sector of the course, a little bit up and down in the water. Much better first sector on this occasion for Sarah. Getting the second split any moment now.
It's amazing how much noise they feel and hear in the cockpit as they drop the wing and into the water.
Yeah, well, you know, the electric engine, that is part of the ecological aspect of the quietness of how, you know, it affects marine life. That is all part of the environmental impulse of E1 GP.
And also the fact that we don't create that much wash allows us to race in a marina.
Here we go there, on the boost for Sarah Mizier and Team Blue Rising, all the way through those final corners now. She's going to run out of boost just before the line, but I tell you what, got herself picked up well out of those corners. 145.8 and almost takes off across the line there. And that's really competitive. That's quicker than her teammate John Peters. So Sarah Mizier combining well. That puts her into third spot ahead of Team Alula. Looks a little bit frustrated, but you see how bunched up it is between that top four as things stand. Just 0.2 separating them. Still got one more boat to go with Michelle Olobaidam. So Michelle Olobaidam heads out. We are hearing from race control that the Aoki racing team are under investigation for early use of the early foiling in that first run. We'll see now, won't we? Because that lap could be taken away from them. If it was Michelle's first lap, then she won't want that one anyway. Hopefully this one's much better. We saw she had a problem with her trim paddle on the first run. It got stuck. Let's hope this is a cleaner run for Michelle. Up and down in the water, not quite clean.
We've still got a problem with the trim, I feel, Gavin. That's why she's struggling to keep it even and fly.
Yeah, she almost wasn't able to be on full throttle as well through her first sector.
She's in very negative trim.
Well, it's a better first sector. Still the slowest of the 5 race birds that we've seen in this group. Flying in the water there. Tricky part of the course, that one. Switch. Drops the left edge into the water.
I mean, it's not great to have your trim stuck, but in all honesty, we saw that Danny Kloss did very well.
The last of our 5 boats to complete here, Michelle. Oh, again, bouncing through the water. Quite what you want, almost porpoising a little bit.
The race bird is so technical and there's so much going on, as we've explained. You've only got to have one little thing and it just ruins the balance of it. So she's doing really well there.
Yeah, fighting. Feels like she's having to fight it, doesn't she, at the moment? And Michelle comes to the line now. Definitely a much improved lap from Michelle. And actually on combined times, thanks to Danny Kloss, that puts them on 4th of the teams to have completed so far. They are under investigation, so we will hear, but yeah, looked like Michelle might have had a little bit of an issue there, trying to catch some air as well as she heads back towards the launch zone.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Combined times puts them in 4th, and again it can all change as the day heads on through the qualifying races. let's see if we're able to have a word with Michelle down there inside the Aoki Racing race birds. Michelle, I don't know if you can hear me. Looked like you're having a bit of a problem with the trim out there. Can you explain how it felt out on the water, if there was any issues? I'm not sure if we can hear from Michelle, unfortunately. She'll head back now. Maybe we'll have a look at that. Maybe one of the paddles sticking or something. But again, much better second attempt from Michelle Lobadan, and Aoki Racing puts them in fourth on combined. Team Brady, though, topping the timesheets as things stand. A reminder, still 4 more boats to go. We've had our first set of combined times, though. How things look after our first group, and the average on the right hand side, you can see Team Brady topping it with Emma Kimiläinen and Sam Coleman. Team Drogba doing really well, as we say, very similar lap times between the pairs, so there were no big losses or gains. Puts them in second as things stand. Virat Kohli's Team Blue Rising in third, Steve Aoki Racing in fourth, and then LeBron James in fifth. So after our first group complete, let's hear from Alex Aljo down there on the waterside at the yacht club.
Sam, top of the combined standings as things stand. You just saw that, I just showed you it. You said cool, very casual, but how are you feeling?
I was pretty surprised. We're top of half of the group, which is good to top our group, and there's a lot of fast guys to go. So we've been searching for some pace. I think I left some time on the table. There was a huge moment into the first C where I was at top speed and a big oscillation and a huge crash. So maybe I lost a bit there, but happy enough with the lap.
What could you have done differently in that moment we're looking at now?
I think it was more like, it's how you deploy and come off the boost. And it was bad timing by me on entry to the corner to destabilize the boat. So something that I can work on maybe.
I know Jeddah was a disappointment for Team Brady. Does that make you even more motivated and hungry here in Doha?
Hungry, I'm starving. I haven't eaten lunch yet. Yeah, I mean, we're always motivated, you know, and it's nice to be back on the water so close to the last event. We feel like we've improved things and there's a lot better balance. The water's completely different. It's like a swimming pool. It's so cool and fun to race on. So we'll see. Like, the aim is always to get to the final and see how we go. So we're doing all right.
How impressed were you by what Emma did out there as well?
Yeah, she impresses me every time she goes on the water, you know. She gave me heaps of feedback before I went for my lap, so that was great. Like, what line to take into the final corners, and she's just constantly in my ear.
Helpful?
Yeah, helpful, of course. Yeah. We have a bit of fun, but always helpful.
Right, Sam, go and get yourself some lunch. Good luck with the rest of the weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, he needs to fuel up for later. Great to hear, isn't it? Good camaraderie between himself and Emma, the reigning world champions. But as he said, there are still 4 boats to go in the qualifying time trials here in Doha. We fly high above the Pearl Island here in Qatar. We are ready to go with our final 4 race birds. Team Rafa, Team Brazil, Team Miami and Westbrook Racing. For Rafa Nadal, Tom Schaap will be in the race bird. For Team Brazil by the Claret Group, Marit Stromoy, legendary powerboat racer herself, will be inside it. For Team Miami, from Mark Anthony, Eric Stark, the Iceman himself, will be inside the boats. And motocross and off-road 2-wheel start, Sarah Price in there for Will Smith and Westbrook Racing. First up should be Team Brazil and Marit Stromoy, who had a really interesting start to the year in that opening round. I mean, she's fighting on 3 fronts this year across all. She's doing X-Kart and she's Formula 1 as well. She is really keeping herself busy, and then doing the odd show while she performs as a professional singer as well. She's been in Eurovision. Yep, she has got it all as Marit, and she'll be heading out here for Team Brazil. And I expect after that first weekend, Shelley, you can appreciate from the world that you're from what Marit Stromoy, I know she was involved with the team last year, but so much to take on board in that first weekend in Jeddah.
Massive, and I don't know anyone else in the powerboat world who is literally racing 3 different classes and an electric series as well, which is obviously, as we know, the most unique and the one and only, the E1 World Championships.
She will be the first boat to go out there, getting herself ready to go. As Sam Coleman from Team Brady just told us, it's like a swimming pool out there, which must be a dream for an E1 pilot when you're looking to get them up and on the foils and have as much stability. Does it change actually, not in terms of the preparation, but in terms of the setup of the race? But does it change also a little bit of strategy, not having to fight with waves and wash and that kind of thing?
Oh yes, definitely. The strategy for this, the qualifying time trials, when you're out there completely on your own with perfect water and conditions, your strategy will be completely different.
And it could well be, we don't know, but in terms of prop choices, they do have 3 options they can go with. One which basically, they do have 4, don't they? There was only 3 in the opening round. They got a 4th one that's been brought for this weekend, and so it just would lean more to the fast prop. But we will see. We will see. We never get to find out anyway, so we can surmise all we like.
And they can have 1 prop today, but they can actually change it for tomorrow for the races.
We're just hearing that a lap was taken away from Aoki Racing from that last group due to foiling before the first mark. Anyway, I think that should keep them in the same order they were anyway. Just shows that the race direction are hot on it. You haven't to foil before effectively the start of the course. On board we ride with Marit Stromoy, Norwegian legend of watersport. Keeping a close eye on her first sector, competitive first sector. Timmy Hansen earlier did a 142.8, which, you know, anything then that Marit can do, I mean, doesn't have to necessarily be in that region. If she can get in the mid 140s, it will make them very, very competitive compared to Team Brady's. Currently, the top time is a 144.7, so you'd imagine if she can get under a 146, it would leapfrog them up to the top.
Well, she's doing the same strategy, saving her boost, so she's got it for the finish line. And she is boosting sort of out of the corners, which again was the same strategy as Timmy.
Yeah, well, here we go again. It looks like it might have worked. Here we go. As Marit comes towards the finish line now, where she's going to stop the clock. 146.3, right on the money, as we said. And instantly, that puts them ahead of Team Brady. So on combined times between Marit and Timmy Hansen, that instantly puts Team Brazil into top spot. Great teamwork. Timmy doing the job and Marit backing him up.
Great teamwork, and as we said with Timmy, the perfect strategy. So that team have obviously sat down and very carefully worked that out.
Yeah, Sam Coleman, when he spoke to Alex, was absolutely great to hear. He gives out so much good information there, but how unique it is in terms of the boost. And if you just come off the boost slightly too early, then suddenly it changes the whole setup of the Racebird in the water, it becomes unstable. It isn't the Racebird that you want, effectively.
When the boost drops and comes off, it's basically like slamming the brakes on in a car and actually making it skiddy and unbalanced.
Mark Anthony's Team Miami go with Eric Stark. First time that we're seeing him this afternoon. Swedish powerboat racer, been a world champion in F2, third in Formula One last year as well, and vastly experienced already in E1, and that is a pretty picture, isn't it, to see that Racebird up. I think we've got a problem with the data coming back from their boost button, because either he's on it constantly or not, but I don't think we're going to be able to read it. Now he's on the boost, we're seeing. That was interesting. Maybe just a little bit of the data coming back there. Not quite as it was for Eric Stark. That looked good. That looked really good. If you compare that to how Sam Coleman had that corner, Shelley, that was just that bit cleaner.
That was so much cleaner, and he literally dipped into the water, dipped the wings so quickly and was back up again. That is spot on.
What I will say is Eric has work to do, because Anna Glennon earlier, her lap time was a 1:48.7. So if he wants to move Team Miami up the order, needs to put in a good performance here. But a really good second sector now from Eric. Team Miami, who were 6th in the opening round in Jeddah.
Very even on the trim as well. He's hardly going into positive. He's sort of level. He drops the wing so quick and gets up. It's like he just literally taps down straight up. Not this time.
Very clean, very clean. I think you are right, though. On the boost now to drag towards the finish line for Eric Stark. It looks like it's going to be quicker than Anna Glennon, his teammate, but by how much? A couple of seconds. So on combined times, still down the order, but as you can see on combined, really does bunch things up, and just within 3 seconds of Team Brazil's combines. As cool as ever, you have to say, Eric.
What is it you call him? Iceman.
Yeah, the Iceman. Well, I think it was Mark Anthony who called it himself, so I think we'll run with it. Why not? Sounds like the seagulls are having their own feast out there. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but anyway, looks calm out on the water. Maybe not around those seagulls as we get going now with Sarah Price for Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. Now, we heard earlier from Lucas Ordonez that they were having a few issues, and almost, again, we saw her take off back in Jeddah and almost again there. That was a nervy moment for Sarah Price, but the American stayed on it. But we heard from Lucas earlier, Shelley, they were just having trouble getting the Racebird set up this weekend. They weren't quite sure what the problems were.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they've got sort of just a slightly unbalanced. I mean, this is looking quite smooth now. We don't seem to have any setup problem there. Nice corner.
Yeah, the way that Sarah Corner there was drop the wing in and then get on the boost. We've seen people preempt it with the boost, perhaps. So there are lots of different techniques, and I'm sure they'll all be delving in. They don't get information of when the other team are using the boost. It's not like they get a data readout of that. So the only way they can do it is like we are, watching on the screens to see when the quicker teams are using it. So I'm sure they'll be poring over the footage later on this evening to try and work out.
I would imagine there's a team member just solely watching what we're watching and working it out.
Yeah, it's not a quick one so far for Sarah. Heading towards the nearest part of the course. A couple of left-hand smart marks now. There you see, dips in. And now, does she want the boost here now? To the line. Sarah Price. Dakar stage winner this year. Oof. And just takes off over the line. A 1:48.8 from Sarah, and on combines that gives them a 147.9, puts them behind Team Miami. Work to be done. Remember, she gets another go. She gets another go here, Sarah, but still work to be done. And it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame. We talk about how teams perform when their owners are on site. We do understand Will Smith is going to be here this weekend, and it looks like they're just struggling, just ever so slightly.
Let's hope when he turns up and the good luck, it will bring the team together.
Hey, I don't know what Will Smith's mechanicking skills are like, but maybe he's got something up his sleeve. Maybe he does. We will find out as the weekend goes on. And as Sam Coleman, Team Brady, told us earlier, this is just qualifying time trials. We've seen teams that are last at the end of the time trial stick it on the podium. Even that happened at the last round. So, you know, it is just the first look. It's a different course they'll be taking on when we come to the race. Different tactics come into play. Now, Tom Schaap fell foul of those when we got racing last time, but he is supremely quick inside the E1 race bird, and again that looked inch perfect, I have to say. The way Tom Schaap pilots this race bird, back in general I thought the same. I just think he looks the cleanest of anyone.
He's certainly got it well balanced. The trim is more in the positive range, which is different to other people, but let's see what the time shows.
On the boost there, and then gets back on the boost to drag back from out to sea and drag him back in towards the marina. Again, when he drops into the hull, it helps him turn, helps him get that grip. Back on the boost
that
again.
Was good.
Yeah, it all has looked good, hasn't it, on this lap, I think. It looks like the fastest in this group that we've seen so far. And if we add that to what Chris Lasaraga did earlier when she was the fastest pilot out in the first group, this is super competitive. Team Rafa looked to me like they might be the ones to beat today. And as Tom Schaap comes out of the final corner and to the line, on combines, instantly they go to the top, and by 2 seconds. Both pilots performing, both looking speedy, and a little wry smile there for Tom Schaap, I think.
That was beautifully done, and as you say, he drives it so well.
Still 2.5, 2.6 seconds behind what Chris Lasaraga did earlier today, but that shows, yeah, even his own lap time is one of the most competitive that we've seen. Both of them are dovetailing beautifully.
It's so important that both pilots do a good job. It's definitely a team effort here between the two of them.
Right, time for Team Brazil to go again with Marit Stromoy on the boost, heading out around the island. Good, using the boost. Now she'll have to wait for it to recharge. Still full throttle though. Goes from 100 to 150 kilowatt hours of power.
She's riding very high there, but it looks good. It's very smooth.
And again, that looked nice, didn't it? As she dropped that left wing into the water. That was actually quicker than Tom Schaap in that first sector.
This is looking very, very good. Oh, just dropped there slightly.
Heading out to sea for Marit. In terms of the shelter that this harbour provides, it could well be that even if the afternoon wind does pick up for the racing later, we should be okay. It looks like it's going to be pristine.
Yes, as Sam Coleman said, as you said, the swimming pool is perfect conditions for the E1 race bird. This is looking really good.
Just dropped up ever so slightly in that second sector, so lost a couple of seconds in there. And again, right, now on the boost, I think she's just lost a little bit of time. The first sector was brilliant. Second couple of sectors, now we're going to see as she comes to the line.
I love their technique of powering out of the corners with the boost.
I don't think that's going to be improvement for Marit Stromoy, no. 148 compares to a 146 on her opening effort. And I feel like that was, you know, when we saw her drop off in the middle, you actually mentioned it at the time, in that second sector, that's where the time went away. You drop off the foil slightly, hull in the water, and it's not just that moment, it's then you carry that on, don't you? You've lost the momentum, you've lost the pace for the next 100 metres or so.
Yeah, it takes you a couple of seconds to get it back up onto the foils and balanced again.
Looks wistful, doesn't he? Looks like he's just going out for a little stroll around the park here.
Eric Stark, again, extremely experienced. He races in the X-Cat and F1. Very similar to Marit.
Here we go then, through the opening beams, and away we go. The drone for company as he heads out there. These great shots of Eric Stark, Mark Anthony's Team Miami. Turned out beautifully, as you'd expect from Mark Anthony. Very clean through there on the boost, now rolls out of it. In terms of the boost, stays on full throttle, mind. You expect just when he drops the left wing in the water here, yeah, back on it.
If you notice, Eric never ever comes off the throttle.
No.
He's flat out
Absolutely.
all of the time, and literally controlling it by dropping the wing to take the corners.
No fear from Eric Stark. Slightly behind Marit Stromoy's fastest first sector, but through that second sector, quicker than Marit, a bit down on where Tom Schaap was. This looks like an improved lap though, I have to say, from Eric Stark. That one there a little bit bouncy. Lets his boost recharge as we come to these final red smart marks. Is he going to have enough to drag him to the line on the boost? A bit wide as well.
That was wide on that last bit, but it's not going to improve for him.
I don't think it is going to necessarily be an improvement. As he comes across the line on this occasion, a 146.1 actually did put in a better lap, but in terms of combined times, still down the order, and it looks like Eric Stark or Anna Glennon will be going out in the second group of qualifying racing later on this afternoon. Now it's the turn of Will Smith's Westbrook Racing. Just two pilots to go now. We've just heard that Sarah Price's first lap was actually cancelled for being on the foils too early. So you see the buoy that the Smart Marks is about to pass. You're not allowed to be on the foils before then, effectively. So when you get past this Y marker, now she can get onto the foils. So she's just a little bit eager, a bit early on it. So that's why her first lap has been taken away. So that's put them rock bottom. Look, she's going to want to be going quicker anyway, there's no doubt about it. Away we go then. Second opportunity. There's no doubt she was extra cautious on this occasion, wasn't she, Sarah?
She was, yes. It's they obviously want them to get into a straight line before they get up on the foils. We're on the boost now, but that looked a little bit unsteady. That first right-hander seems to make everybody go a little bit off balance.
Yeah, getting out of shape early on. Was she at full speed, crossing the line? That's what you need. As we saw, you just can't go that too early. Right. Digs in to corner, and unfortunately that first sector is down, so already losing time. On the water, almost taking off. We've seen through that kink. It does challenge the pilots, and Sarah being bounced around and buffeted by her race bird, and she will have lost time, I'm certain, through there.
Yeah, and we've got no boost. The boost came on very late there as she was actually exiting the corner. It seems better if they sort of power through the corner.
Yeah, it's all about that timing, isn't it, as we say. And again, when she came off the boost, the boat got unstable. This is what we were hearing, isn't it? It's the whole, even when you apply the boost and when you roll off it, they all play a part in how settled or stable the race bird is. Again, this just unfortunately isn't that stable. Dropping the left edge in on the boost now to the line. So 149.3 from Sarah, and on combines, well, we'll find out in a moment what that means, but I feel that is behind Team Miami. And so work to be done for Will Smith's Westbrook Racing, Sarah Price and Lucas Ordóñez. One team has reigned supreme so far today here in Doha, and it's Team Rafa with Chris Lasaraga and now Tom Schaap. We are inside the cockpit as the Frenchman gets ready to go. His dad will be watching on, maybe even in his ear. Really vastly experienced powerboat racer himself. And maybe a little vamos as they get ready to go. So Tom Schaap just have to wait to cross that first smart mark before he gets up on the foils.
They're all being very cautious now, aren't they? They know the race director is watching them.
Yeah, so here we are. From that moment now he can get up. It'll be interesting when we've got 5 boats alongside there in the qualifying races which are to come. Here we go then. It's our final time trial lap, and it's coming from France's Tom Schaap, already in top spot. So whatever happens, Team Rafa will be quickest at the end of these time trials. Let's have a see what he perhaps is doing differently. A little bit out of shape there though. Definitely didn't feel as clean as on the first occasion.
Nearly every team is getting slightly out of shape there, so I'm wondering whether there's a current in the water or something.
But that looked good through there, definitely. And in that first sector was very quick. You know, there's a lot to be said for, you know, when we sometimes see these boats out of shape, we know when they're at top speed, that's when they become the most unstable. So if you are actually going quick, that's when you actually look unstable. And sometimes it's the cleaner ones are just not going as quick.
Yeah, it's that sweet spot that we've talked about many times. If you trim too much, you will lose the speed and not gain the speed.
Just dropped off in the second sector, but still, while it wasn't quicker than he went earlier, it was quicker than anyone else in this group. This could improve the team's lap time here. Just 2 more smart marks to negotiate. Drops it in for the first one aggressively. Slight little bit of boost there, and again through the final corner. This is
nice,
perfect, I think, for Tom Schaap. Is he going to back it up? Is he going to go quicker than before? No, very similar lap time to his first effort, but it doesn't matter. Already, Team Rafa are topping the standings at the end of the time trials, and they will be seeded first, heading into the racing.
Very nice strategy for that team.
Yeah, whatever they've done, whatever they've got set up, or how the race bird is working, they are working well. They are top of the pile on the combined times. Team Rafa top with Team Brazil. That's great, isn't it? After an opening round where things didn't quite work, Team Brazil, both Timmy Hansen and Marit Stromoy in second, Team Brady third, Team Drogba in fourth, which again is a good turnaround from having been last in the opening round Team Blue rising in 5th. So as Team Rafa head back towards the launch zone, let's hear from Team Brazil down there with Alex.
Second in the combined standings, 144.6, the combined result. Timmy, we'll start with you. Talk me through your lap.
Yeah, my lap was very good. I was super happy with my lap, but I think even more impressive was Marit today. We had issues during pre-practice, so she didn't get to drive at all this morning. So literally like waking up and her first lap of the whole day is her fastest qualifying lap. It's very impressive, so if she wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have been here.
Marit, just how hard was that for you to deal with that? You're new to the E1 series as well, and a lot of pressure on you straight away with no practice.
No, I mean the darts, they started out quite bad for us by missing the midsection, and I had to go straight for the qualifying now. It was difficult, but he put a great lap in, so I had a little bit of a buffer there. But my 2 laps, if you combine the best sectors of them, it would be a great lap. But I'm not that happy about my laps, but tomorrow we'll be there. Or later.
I was going to say onwards and upwards from here. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck.
Thank you.
Ever the racer there,
Brilliant.
looking at ideal lap times. Every racer I've ever spoken to, I said, well, if I'd got every single one of my sectors together, it'd have been even quicker, yeah? Unfortunately, it's not always quite how it works, especially when there's a boost button involved in it. But still, Team Brazil into second, despite those problems of Marit Stromoy not being able to go out in free practice, in second place, ahead of Team Brady, who are in 3rd. Really, I have to say, consistent between the pilots at Team Brady and Team Drogba. Team Brazil, similarly, I think Timmy Hansen did stand out there, but we heard why Marit Stromoy had her struggles. But Team Rafa, top of the pile, both pilots performing today. Chris Lasaraga, the fastest of the 2. I know she said earlier her and Tom Schaap had a little bit of a head-to-head. Well, it's today it's Chris that's come out on top, but it doesn't matter. Both of them supremely fast, and they are the top seeds heading into the qualifying races. I think we might be able to hear from our fastest pilots of the day. For Rafael Nadal's Team Rafa, it's Chris Lasaraga and Tom Schaap down there with Alex.
Congratulations, both of you, top of the combined standings. Chris, Tom said she was going to have a faster lap than you, and she did, but you still did brilliantly. How was that?
I'm super happy. Like, Chris today was really fast. Finally, it's nice to have her with us. So, no, to be honest, she makes incredible lap, difficult to beat. I think I struggling a bit at the last lap because I don't want to block everything. So, I mean, I really want the pole position for the team because they work so hard. So, no, we make a really good job together, and Chris again was so fast, so it was good.
You certainly do, such a great team, but you are yet to win a race. Could this be the one here in Doha?
To be honest, we don't like to talk about that. We just like to work, and I think that working very hard, as we usually do, is in the end, sometime it will happen. No, it has to happen. We have the path, so.
But do you feel you're at your best level now? Would you say?
Yeah, of course. I think all the team make incredible jobs. They work so hard. This weekend was not easy because we don't have a lot of time on water, so we have to find a good decision every time about the seating, about everything. So I think a team job was done today. I mean, in terms of qualification time. So now it's time to racing. So, but it's starting good, yeah.
Would you say these are the best conditions so far? Chris was saying, like a swimming pool out there.
Yeah, really. All the water was really flat, and it's different what we know at the beginning. So it's really, really interesting. So, but yeah, Chris was really good today. So and was super nice.
As were you, Tom. Well done. Good luck with the rest of the weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Combined, Team Rafa are top of the tree after the qualifying time trials, but I did like the way they both backed each other up to say it's just the start. It can not mean anything. Team Alula were almost, they're one of the tops in this position last time out in Jeddah and finished the weekend in 7th. So you've got to keep it going. Things can happen. We saw it with penalties for Team Rafa last time. We saw things happen to them, and so you just have to keep that forward momentum. Keep it up on the foils as much as possible. But both of them, we saw Tom Schaap look great out there. You were saying how good you thought Chris Lasaraga actually looked in the boat.
Yeah, Chris seems to have just such a gentle, elegant of flying the boat round the corners, and their strategy was great. It's as if everyone else watched their strategy of how they did that boost to the finish line and all copied it. No, they did really well. What is so great about E1 is that, as you said, it can all change so quickly. There are so many different variables, different courses, different strategies. It's still all to play for.
Yeah, absolutely, and we know that there've been little glitches here and there. We know that, we heard, didn't we, from Team Drogba that they had a problem with their rear foil, and these things can happen. It's going to put stresses on these E1 race birds over the weekend, so you've got to have a look with you. That's got to be on your side over a race weekend, as we see some action going on Will Smith's Westbrook Racing boat.
And Aoki there had a was it their problem with the trim, or?
Yeah, well, it was sticking, wasn't it, that we heard from on board with Michelle Alobaidan earlier for Aoki Racing. Championship leaders, race winners. I'm sure she's having a look at some of the data, perhaps some of the timing. If it's a racer I know, she'll be looking at timesheets.
She's also got her race instructions there, looking at the next course and how it's going to be different and how she should change their strategy.
The Aoki Racing boat, 6th fastest on combined times. Championship leaders. There's Team Brazil, who started the year with 8th place in that opening round in Jeddah, but they all line up as one of the quickest boats out there. So the qualifying races that we will have later on, Aoki Racing will be alongside Team Alula, Team Miami and Westbrook Racing, and then the fast ones, the quickest boats, Blue Rising, Team Rafa, Team Brazil, Team Drogba and Team Brady will be lining up for those qualifying races, which we've got to come from here at the Visit Qatar E1 Doha GP.